They've won Tonys and Oscars and Emmys and Grammys. There's no red carpet because they're home in their jammies. From Melrose Place to Broadway to Janeway and her crew. Let Seth and James bring all the stars to you.
Anywho.
They're entertaining everyone, so who's gonna grouse? Just sit right back and you'll hear some tales on Stars in the House.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so right before we started, Seth was like, I'll do it, because you have the mouse to unmute. I'll do it. Silence. So we were
still can't really get the hang of the mute button, even in real life. Can't stop talking. Andy to the Who, welcome to Stars in the House, Plays in the House, the finale. And by the way, people are like, will you never do a play again? By the way, I'm sure if someone offers me a leading role, I'm there. So Stars in the House, by the way, no one has. Been going on for 9 months, by the way. Anywho.
Did you notice that Peter never asked us to be in one of the plays?
I guess he's never seen me perform, except for in the show he directed me in. Anyway, where was I? Okay.
I never picked up on that until you mentioned it.
Uncomfortable sip. So Stars in the House is the fundraiser for the Actors Fund that's been going on since March. And so FYI, a couple of things. Tonight, though, we're doing Your Kids, Our Kids, right?
No. It's a little bit different, though. It's for the Actors Fund.
Oh, good.
But because we've been doing basically a year-end pledge drive like PBS to help fund Stars in the House and to help pay some of the bills that have incurred over the last 9 months, we're doing it a little bit differently, except for tonight, which is go to actorsfund.org/stars in the house.
Or text fund 2020 to 56512. You're going to get a receipt. Forward that receipt to donations@starsinthehouse.com, and then it will be read by one of our luminaries, perhaps with a British accent, but they will project no matter what. So what you do is you donate, because they're actors. You donate you see the link right there, actorsfund.org/starsinthehouse, Fund 2020. Actors Fund, if you don't know, helps anybody in the arts, not just actors. If you're on stage, if you're backstage, if you're like a wig person, makeup person, front of house, usher, if you work on TV, film, literally no matter what you do, you can go to actorsfund.org and be like, I cannot pay my rent, can't pay my doctor's bills, can't buy my groceries. How do I get health insurance? Actorsfund.org will help you. But if you can give, please donate there.
Yeah, and I know that I don't have our latest total, but I know we're well over $620,000 raised for the Actors Fund. And I have no doubt, having seen the numbers over the last 9 months, who knows what time is anymore, that tens of thousands of those monies raised were because of Plays in the House.
Plays in the House.
So thank all of you. We do have people to thank. We're going to introduce Andréa and Peter, who are going to host tonight. But Seth and I was looking through emails of how this thing got started.
I of course remember how it began, and he was like, "That's not really what happened." I'm like, "It is what happened." He's like, "No, it's not." Then he checked the email. It's what happened. Okay, so go.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. So we started the show, Stars in the House, on March 16th.
Oh.
And it was literally only the next week that we started talking about Plays in the House.
Yeah.
So
it began, well, Tina Fey made this joke. She was like, "Oh, Matthew Broderick and Sarah Jessica Parker, they couldn't do their play on Broadway. They should just do their play." She wrote, she's like, "Sarah and Matthew should do their play from their house. And if they won't do it, I will. Parentheses, I won't." So that was really funny. But I was like, wow, they really could do a play from their house. That's an interesting idea. So I put it in the old noggin. Then you got an email.
Well, and then Tina actually emailed us and said Carol Kane is desperate to do something. Call her and
to help out for the Actors Fund.
Not
just desperate to do something.
Well, no, it was a couple of days earlier. It had to do with the need for ventilators in New York City.
Yeah.
And so it was like ended up being a couple of different things. She wanted to feel useful, like all of us did and do. And so we reached out to Carol and Carol wrote this the next morning. This is March 27th. So we'd only been doing Stars in the House for like we'd started the week before.
10 days.
Plays in the House was beginning in a few days. All right.
But we didn't know it yet.
Hi, Seth. Dear Seth, Tony Shalhoub and Brooke Adams would like to help. That was it. And she said, here's her phone number. I call Brooke Adams. This is on that Friday. And she was like, yeah, we would love to do a play. And I'd never talked to her before. She was lovely. It's Brooke Adams. And we start talking, and Seth, I don't know if you heard me on the phone or what it was.
No, I knew Brooke. I knew, yeah, it was Newsroom Brooke Adams. And I said, oh my God, I saw her in the Heidi Chronicles like 30 years ago. I said, let's do the Heidi Chronicles again. And I could see her recreate that amazing performance. So we asked them.
With Tony.
With Tony and with Brooke, because they've done it together.
Right.
And Brooke was like, she's like, well, I'm not the original, and the original cast is still alive. She's like, it's kind of weird to like do it when you can get the whole original cast. And I was like, I guess that's true.
Well, she said I would love to do it, but she said out of respect, you should really contact Joan and Peter and ask them first. And if they don't want to do it, then I would love to do it, and Tony would love to do it. So I mean, it was very, very respectful.
So I called Peter Friedman, and I was like, would you want to recreate the Heidi Chronicles? And it was just relentless giggling. And then he was like, I'm giggling so much because I'm uncomfortable. So that must mean I should say yes. It was like a weird psychological. I was like, all right, brava. So then he called everybody, and then I think I had to contact Cynthia Nixon for some reason. I don't know why I did. Maybe I can't remember. But basically the whole cast suddenly said yes. And then we were like, well, we need someone to direct. Is that what we asked?
Well, no, we'd asked Peter before, but when we bring Peter on, we can see what he can remember, because I can remember a lot. Luckily, I have emails. So, but this is how quickly it happened. So we got that email from Carol Kane at 8:56 on the Friday. At 9:32, I wrote to Peter Hagen, whom Peter Hagen is the president of the Dramatist Play Services, and Peter, especially early on in Plays in the House, was instrumental in helping us cutting through red tape, getting approval, and this shows you how fast Peter was. And I just said, hi, Seth Rudetsky and James Wesley here. We're doing a web series for the Actors Fund and want to start doing play readings on Wednesday and Saturday matinees beginning next week. Can someone call us this morning to see if we can make this happen? We are talking to Brooke Adams and Tony Shalhoub later this morning, and we want to begin the series with the Heidi Chronicles. So when I look at this, push to the end, right? And I say, oh, I talked to Tony Shalhoub. He's really helpful. He said, I'm going to get a hold of the executors for the estate of Wendy Wasserstein. I'm sure they will be very supportive. This is now 2:30 in the afternoon. Oh, I talked to Tony Shalhoub and Brooke Adams. They really want to do it, but they also want the original cast to be contacted first. Other than that, they're all in for it. Literally at 4:59. You have to remember, 8:56 that morning, she was like, Tony and Brooke would like to help. 4:59. This is from Patrick Harold, who's the head of theater at ICM for Wendy Wasserstein. Thank you, James. On behalf of Andre Bishop and Ben Wasserstein, I am pleased to grant permission for a single reading of the Heidi Chronicles.
It was like a day.
It was in a day.
So we had Peter on board, and then we asked Charles Busch for the next show, and it just began this cycle of 2 matinees a week. By the way, our names are back, what someone just said, and I don't know why.
All right, you do that. We want to thank, in case we forget, we want to thank Maria Didia, who has helped us on countless shows and concerts before Plays in the House and Stars in the House. Yeah. She was our liaison between Theater Authority, so we want to thank Theater Authority. We want to thank Kate Schendel, because there was so much uncertainty at the beginning of all of this that
Kate Schendel's the president of Equity.
Yes, thank you. Actors Equity and many of the unions didn't know what to do, and we called Kate because there was a chance that it wasn't going to happen at all. Literally the day of the reading of Heidi Chronicles, and Kate Schendel helped us cut through the red tape. So we want to thank Kate. Of course, we want to thank Peter, but we'll thank him in person. We want to thank David Katz because I got to get the dogs, because he helped with the tech for the very first one before Hudson stepped in.
And the tech began, it was just basically push the on button. And then Hudson was like, oh, you can also, and then it was just crazy effects added. So and then Dave was like, wait, I'm selling that idea. Anyway, it was a lot of amazing tech, but the first show we ever did was just lights on. And by the way, the tech then failed, and I had a cover by interviewing Peter Friedman, which was me talking and Peter giggling, which we'll talk about later. All right, we had to just fix the dogs. Is there anyone else we have to thank? I guess not. All right, well, let me introduce these two clowns then. So here is, there was a director and his wife, and she was beautiful. I see you, Andrea. All right, please welcome here comes Bagel. Look, hold on. Good boy. All right. Here comes our director and our Andrea Monday herself, Ms. Andrea Burns. Hi, Peter, Flynn, and Andrea.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Happy holidays, everybody.
I shout out Hudson. Your names are also reversed.
That's so strange.
Very strange.
Yours
look fine to us.
Yeah, they look fine. Yours and ours look fine to us.
Well, wait a minute. Mine is fine because I just changed it.
But it felt fine. It seemed fine when you said that.
What do we need to do?
So I don't know what we need to do. But.
Hey, Peter, does that sequence of events sound correct to you? Because it was really fast.
Yeah, it was. You contacted me right after you heard from Patrick, And then we started contacting the original company, and that April 1st at 2:00 was the first broadcast with that entire company. We had done a read through of it the day before, I guess. Yes, it was the day before. And then on April 1st on the matinee was the first reading. So it was very quick.
By the way, Andréa, I tried to put an accent over the E like I normally do, and it just added 30 E's. I pushed you push the E down and the accent comes
the E down. No
Hudson,
worries.
help out with that, please.
Hudson, help us, please, God. Wait a minute. So, Peter, when we first asked you to direct, like, it's interesting because you'll talk to Charles later, but Charles was saying this really helped him get back to movie acting because it was this whole one camera close. Did you know like what the style was going to be? Like, everyone's so used to now plays being done online, but like no one had done it when you were first doing this.
Yeah, I know. I keep saying it's the Wild West, and it keeps being that way because things keep getting innovated and discovered and invented. And so this really was, how are we going to make this look like a piece of theater and not just either a recording of a reading or a movie? And what's that thing in between, right? And so that's when Hudson and I, once he came on as technical director, started playing with title cards or scenes or atmospheres or environments behind the actors, and just enough to say this is not an inert piece. This is something that's happening now. And James said something very early on as well, which is what really was exciting for us was it's always live. Everything we did, there was no pre-record. It was always a live performance. So we're excited for everything we're bringing tonight back. We're so excited for the people we have tonight.
Everything's live. I mean, I don't think people realize that almost all the stuff that I've worked on, other play series, have been recorded and edited. This has always been live, which of course has also led to things like Leslie Uggams being replaced by Shelley Williams. I don't remember who.
Yes, we'll tell that story.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Later,
But it definitely was. It was like the two things that were missing of, well, I guess three, because we can't all be together. But I mean, was the live aspect and an audience right in front of you, and the live part was the one thing we could control. We couldn't control the others. And it was scary, especially like, I remember like Richard Kind's Wi-Fi or people's Wi-Fi going out or, but that was all sort of like what you would see at a first preview of his show of like, okay, we got to stop the scene for 2 minutes, but they're all such amazing actors and they were well directed. They're great plays. And so it all just worked.
But Peter, what was your secret in terms of what I don't think people think about is where the hell is a script? Because normally you have a script memorized when you do a show.
We did a lot of different stuff. So, and I always left it to the actors. When I say I was director, I was more sort of facilitator because we had great directors. A lot of the original directors of the pieces come and work with us, which was thrilling. And so what I was doing with Hudson was just trying to make sure that people could facilitate doing their job. So there were some actors that like to have an old school paper copy, and there were some that would put their script just below the camera right about here so that when they were reading it was almost like a teleprompter. Like Peter Friedman was the first one to do that, actually.
And we were watching him and he just looked incredible and he seemed like he was memorized and completely in the bones of the show. And that was the trick. Of course, the trick for us actors, because I did a few of them, was you can't really look at your scene partner, right? So you're either reading on the screen or then taking a moment to look in the camera to make a point, but you didn't have that connection. But the other thing that was really exciting to see these two do was not only were they prepping, he was prepping the cues and Hudson was calling the shots, but just in real time, watching them navigate it, it was like all those things you see about like live newsrooms and, things, live television studios, what was going on here when the Wi-Fi would cut out and how everybody's Wi-Fi was different. So you couldn't necessarily fix the general Wi-Fi, right? So there would be a lot of times during the show where Hudson or Peter would be, texting actors and, walking them through. It was very, very cool. And they learned fast.
It was very my favorite year.
We have so many wonderful performances.
Yeah, we have not only people with conversations, we have scenes tonight. We have a couple of songs. So it's like a Jerry Lewis telethon. It's our last.
It's only 6 hours.
Exactly.
You know what? We need the money.
Well, we'll drop off here, but before we do though, we want to remind everyone this was really early on. This was in April that CBS Sunday Morning had contacted us.
Yeah, CBS Sunday Morning contacted us and they said David Polk said we've been watching Plays in the House, and there are other ones that have come online, but Plays in the House is the best of all the play series that are happening online. And we won the Sunny Award, if you recall. And there's Brooke Adams and Tony Shalhoub who received the award, but it's because the plays were also amazing. So shout out to Peter and Hudson and David.
Thank you. Thanks. We've had a ball putting it all together, and it truly is more for us. We're the lucky ones because I can honestly say fundamentally, you know, I know a lot of audience members hear things like backstabbing and, you know, talk behind each other. And I can honestly say we had such generous, compassionate, skilled, funny actors, creative teams come to this platform. Every single time was just, we were happy to see people show up on the screen like tonight. So it's been a ball, and we're really grateful in a part of it.
We can't wait to watch the best of, which is normally clips, but it's actually live versus the best of.
I love it.
Live.
All right, we're going to peace out. You guys take it away. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. We're thrilled to get started with people. We just want to give a shout out to our son, our technical director, Hudson Flynn, just to show you how it's going on. We're here, and he's right over there. So if you look at the Christmas tree behind him, you can see.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, we're here. You didn't have to move, honey.
Sorry.
He took care of it. He's the
good.
technical director, obviously.
So, just showing. So hi. So that's us all together putting the show together. We also want to give a shout out to the Actors Fund. So tonight indeed is the very last fundraiser we will do as Plays in the House. So if you can give, thank you for giving. $1 is great. 100 is great. Whatever you can give to help out would be terrific. I found out thanks to Maggie Oberender at the Actors Fund today. Maggie, thank you so much. She pulled apart the figures and she said Plays in the House by itself raised approximately over $27,000 that went to the Actors Fund. And that doesn't include the thousands of dollars we raised for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund in the summer. So all of you watching raised tens of thousands of dollars that helped people. And the other statistic Maggie sent me is that that over $27,000 was part of $18 million that went to 14,500 performing artists that were in need throughout this time. So from the bottom of our hearts as a director and an actor, thank you for your generosity. And please keep it coming tonight. Like I said, it's a Jerry Lewis telethon. If I could, I'd just keep showing the total as we go. So we have a great show with lots of people. So let's get started. Our first guest is a multi-award winning playwright and actor. He appeared on Plays in the House 4 times, all of them in his own plays, which are wonderful. I met him getting my equity card in one of his shows called Red Scare on Sunset. Right. And he's since become a great friend. We're thrilled to have him with us. Please, here he is, Charles Busch. Come on in.
The incomparable.
Hi.
Hello, Charles.
So happy
I'm thrilled to be part of this.
We're really happy you're here. Thank you. Yeah, you did 4 shows with us. You did Tale of the Allergist's Wife, Divine Sister, Lily Dare, and Die Mommy Die.
Your Stars in the House favorite.
But it really did feel like it was the early days of live television. And it was so, and like you were talking about, it was just interesting how each time we did a show, something new, Hudson discovered some new thing to make it better, and the whole drama about where to place the script, because originally I was one of those, jerks who had the actual script, paper script here, losing pages, and then each time I tried a different experiment. Oh, I'll do it here, I'll put it here, and then finally we figured out that I could actually divide the screen with the text on the top level, and then still see Hudson and the other actors. Right. Yeah, fascinating.
Isn't it great? I was thinking about, just as you came on, I was thinking when I saw Tale of the Allergist's Wife, I remembered the moment, I think it was actually during the broadcast, that somebody's texts kept going off during a scene. And Richard Kind finally said, "Who's that? Who is that? Where's that coming from?" And it kept going off. And then he finally said, "Is that me? Is that in my house?" And it was.
Oh, too much. And then Faith Prince, her dog, suddenly went crazy. And we had to leave the studio.
Right.
It was just nuts. Yeah. Right. But it kept getting more professional the more we did it.
Exactly. So tonight we're very happy you're back because you're going to offer a song from Lily Dare as the leading lady herself.
Well, in the Confession of Lily Dare, well, first of all, it was really cool because we had actually just closed the production on March 5th. That was the end of our actual limited run at the Cherry Lane Theater. And
it was spectacular to see live, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But it really was not that long afterwards that we all got together again to do this. Now in this play, it was a tour de force for me because I aged a lot. I went from a young girl and young orphan girl in 1905 through all the stages of her life until her ultimate life as a boozy waterfront hag. But in between, she becomes a Dietrich-like cabaret entertainer on the Barbary Coast. So I was having a hard time when we were first putting the show together. I was trying to find a song to sing as this character. And I was talking to my friend Tom Judson, who's the musical director for my cabaret act. And I said, I can't find a song that sounds like Dietrich would sing, but that Marlene and Dietrich never sang. And then he said, well, I'll just write you one. So he just came up with the song Pirate Joe. And it's very much, I think he really captured the feeling of the Friedrich Hollander Dietrich songs, as well as a touch of Kurt Weill. So
Absolutely.
Should we try it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. We're gonna get off stage and throw the show card up, and then when it's gone, you can take over. So we'll have a little palate cleanser. But here's Charles with Lily Dare's Pirate Joe. Thank you.
Okay, hope it works. Men have sailed round the globe in search of treasure, in search of pleasure. I've known quite a few of them. I love them, then I'm through with them. They're too coarse, they're too rough, they're sore losers. But I know one wandering seaman, he's not a brute, he's not a he-man, and he can lay down his anchor for as long as he chooses. But I'll never be that sailor's bride as long as he's off with the tide. Pirate Joe, why have you gone away? Pirate Joe, what do you seek the most? Won't you ever stop searching for gold? Don't you know that a jewel you can hold is waiting here on the Barbary Coast? Mister, why such a sad face? Now please don't you think that my girl's out on the drink. I'm sad and lonely. Dear God, if only. I'm constantly surrounded. I'm courted and I'm hounded. The weaklings are glad to be my slaves. But it's not fun being a siren to a Sydney or a Myron when the man that you're in chains for is riding o'er the waves. Pirate Joe, why have you gone away? Pirate Joe, what do you seek the most? Won't you ever stop searching for gold? Don't you know that a jewel you can hold is waiting here on the Barbary Coast? And then I continue with the song and the scene. There, that's Pirate Joe for you.
Bravo! Bravo, Diva!
Oh my gosh, great.
Oh boy, tough of the track.
Act and you killed it. It's great.
Well, thank you. And it's just, I think it's just been such a wonderful experience. I've learned so much doing it, and it's been fun just working with all these marvelous actors and recreating old plays that we'd never done. Gave me a chance to do the part in Alladin's Wife that Linda Lavin had created, and it was thrilling for me to take a crack at it. It's been a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you for being with us, Charles. We were thrilled to have you in all of your incarnations. It was really generous and a gift to have you with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
You too.
That was wonderful, and just the beginning of a fantastic night of highlights of plays in the house that we have. But first of all, I want to share, just because Seth, we have such a community here at Stars in the House and regular viewers, and Seth, I think, always assumes everybody knows everything. But for those of you who are maybe new to Stars in the House, Peter and I are married, and the tech director, Hudson, that they keep referring to is our 16-year-old son, who actually just turned 17 on Christmas Eve. And you were 16 when you were doing all of this. And when this started in April, watching the father and son team work together, creating a live broadcast studio out of our apartment was a really fun thing to watch. And so Peter would prepare the script and sort of figure out the cues, because obviously actors can't enter and exit. Hudson would manage the way they would come in and out, and Peter would cue him and set him up. So I got so excited watching them like do their thing one time that I filmed a little bit, and I wanted to share a little backstage clip of that with you.
Being so selfish.
She's leaving the Howlett.
She didn't realize she was at the opera. She thought it was a burlesque show.
Go narrator solo. Out Lily, out Emmy.
We return to Louise's dressing
Stand by
room
Louise and
performance.
Dr.
She's
Carlton.
with her father, Dr.
Go
Carlton.
Louise, go Dr. Carlton, out narrator.
Darling daughter, 16 curtain calls.
Good.
6.
So it's no
Wow.
surprise, of
I've never
course,
seen that.
you hadn't seen that,
No.
that they were calling Charles Busch and the Charles Busch Repertory Company and the presentation of Confession of Lily Dare. So, but that just gives you a little hint of what's going on when people move in and off, on and off the screen. And I was just really impressed and proud of them while they were navigating that. So moving forward, okay, I've embarrassed you. Sorry.
I'm speechless. Thank you. I didn't know we had that video.
Yes.
So surprises for everybody
it's cool,
tonight.
though, right? It's
Isn't that
very
worth
cool.
a donation now? Seeing me
Absolutely.
bright red from watching that video.
I think it was really cool, and they loved creating it
Yeah.
together. So, all right. Now,
So next up is a dear friend of mine, someone with whom I love to collaborate, and did a spectacular job curating a cast, rehearsing a show, asking for very specific visuals, finding original music for the play when we did it. This is the director of Lydia R. Diamond's Stick Fly for Plays in the House, my dear friend Dell Howlett.
yay, Dell.
Dell, hi.
I'm over here quibelling about that video that just
Oh,
superhuman, the two of you. Just so moving to see that.
thank you.
Yeah.
We've had a good time. It really is something, talk about something that we didn't know we were going to do in quarantine, as a father and son, just sort of like, let's sit next to each other and call a few shows,
Gosh, inspiring.
So, I'm so happy to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for inviting me back.
Happy to have you back. Truly, it just putting together your show. I was saying this earlier before the broadcast, even just being a part of the tech rehearsal after you'd rehearsed how many rehearsals did you have for your show before we did tech?
Yeah, we had about 3 or 4. I mean, I was never able to touch base with the entire cast at the same time. So it ended up being a kind of piecemealed rehearsal process, but a really effective one, right? I think I knew a great deal of what I wanted to kind of underscore. And so it ended up being kind of a really elegant a way of kind of touching base with everyone and then kind of putting it together at the last moment and having that excitement of seeing what kind of stew we had made.
Boy, it was a really good stew.
Delicious.
I mean, it really sumptuous and
Delicious.
fulfilling.
I wish there were more.
Nutritious. I mean, really, all of those. I mean, it's a great metaphor. Because truly, during the tech, which is usually a very haphazard time for Hudson and myself, just because of technical stuff, it really was one of those experiences where we were just watching it going, where did this come from? How did
Solid.
it get put together? Right? Just really profoundly moving, and such good work on your part and the cast as well. And then you had original music for the show as well.
I did. When you had called to ask me to do the play, I have a couple of people in my circle who are kind of my kind of first go-tos, my first reads, and I kind of like to get a little some feedback from them. And so I called my dear friend Krysta Monet Hall, my first collaborator, I like to call her, from the 3rd grade.
Wow.
Yeah, we've known each other that long.
Wow.
And I just started talking to her about my ideas about the play, and she had read the play. And we kind of settled on some ideas, some really interesting kind of ideas. And she was inspired. And I said, would you want to write a song? Would you want to just go just create something? And she was like, absolutely. And that was like the spark. That really was like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing here. So I'm just so thankful that she blessed us with that.
Isn't that moment great? I say sort of collegially as directors, where you have that moment and it's not always from the script or from the cast, but something will occur in the pre-production process that you go, that's it. I now know how we want to tell this story or what this story wants to feel like, right?
Absolutely. And with Stick Fly, it was, that July time was such a full time in our country.
Yes.
The play was dealing with so many of those issues as well. And so there was so much resource there. And then to have Crystal kind of come in and kind of intersect all of that. Yeah. And then those incredible actors that who I just, I still bow down to them.
Likewise.
And Tiffany and Jelani. I mean, it just was a incredible cast of actors. Everybody just brought it. They brought their A games for Plays in the House and for the Actors Fund and the NAACP. They were all really pumped about it. So it was awesome.
So speaking of the actors, we have two of the original cast from our Plays in the House production of Stick Fly, both remarkable performers of their own right in several different shows here in New York, and remarkably generous when they were here Plays in the House. So let's bring up Jelani Alladin and Tiffany Rachelle Stewart.
What's up, everybody?
Hi. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, so happy to have you back. How are you both doing? Are you well? Are you safe? Everything okay?
We're doing good. The holidays was good for the spirit, you know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. I especially like this week in between where it sort of feels like the world does just a little bit of a slower pace, knowing that the holidays are connecting us,
Yeah.
A breath.
What was your experience like, the two of you? I know it was so brief for Plays in the House, but when Dell called and spoke to you about the play, did either of you know the play prior to Plays in the House?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was it like for you to explore it with Dell, and what was that like for you prior to actually getting up and doing it?
I mean, I have to say, like, the particular thing, like the special sauce that Dell added into it felt like a production of this for this reading, right? It Plays in the House. That original music and those images at a time with what was happening in the country in July, that is still happening, but that was so raw in July. It felt, while the play grapples with so much that's difficult within the Black community, the music and the images were just Black excellence. It was just Black excellence. And something about being in the presence of that for our rehearsals and then for the performance was like a balm in Gilead. It was really, really beautiful.
I agree. It was like, I feel like we talked a lot about the structures that hold us, that bind us as African Americans in this country. In the moment that we were going through with George Floyd, a lot of white people were saying, I need to get educated. But a lot of Black people were like breaking chains, finally feeling that they were like, okay, let me liberate myself completely from these systems that are crushing me, that are on my neck. And so this play deals with that, and deals with people inside of this house, inside of this system that's built to contain them, and they can no longer, to be their freest selves, they have to be free of that. And so it was really awesome to be stars in the house, kind of like a meta thing, exploring that and having a community through a virtual experience.
Yeah, I'm assenting because you're giving words to my visceral empathic experience watching it. Everything that both of you offered, I was like, it brought back. It really was one of the more visceral experiences watching one of the plays we had in our series, and I think it's because of your work and your contribution, and also because of how articulately you approach the piece, as you just described. It was that palpable, and that clear in the interpretation. So
like Revival 2022 or
yes,
100%. Producers, general managers, you have the cast.
This is it.
It's ready and waiting. I'm hoping that there is a sort of semi Plays in the House revival on Broadway throughout, because there were a good handful of productions that was like, this just needs to move, right? And you are absolutely at the top of that list. So
correct.
I couldn't agree more.
So for those of you who are sad that you missed it, or miss seeing it like me and want to see again, we're going to give you a little taste
Yeah.
Oh, stick fly.
So, Dell, if you want to set it up for us.
Absolutely. The scene you're about to see is Tiffany's character Taylor and Jelani's character Kent. Kent is bringing his girlfriend Taylor home to meet the family for the first time and trying to be self-determinate. The two of them trying to stand in their relationship. And this is a moment when we see a little crack in there. We see a little crack in that relationship. And so I'll just say that. And without further ado, Tiffany and Jelani.
Thank you.
All I ask is that you have my back.
This is my family, Taylor.
I'm your family.
Not yet.
So this is some sort of test. Can a low-class girl hang in the big leagues?
Okay, all right. That's ridiculous.
Is it?
Is that what this is about? Oh my God. Have you lost your mind? You grew up solidly upper middle class.
Lower middle class. And nothing was solid.
You had entree.
Entree to what? Places I couldn't afford to go? Forget it. Why didn't you help me out? You heard her. I thought we were on the same side.
I didn't say I disagree with you.
You didn't say anything.
There was nothing to say. Man, I don't know you're going to curse the girl out.
That's ridiculous. We shared a heated discussion. I just said what was on my mind. She's way out of line with that. I worked in the inner city bullshit.
You're not from the inner city.
I might as well be.
What?
It was just me and my mom and an apartment full of books. Books and opportunity. Never enough money. And my dad wasn't giving it up. His family had a driver, a Porsche, an SUV, and we were just trying to get the neon out of repo.
What does that have to do with her?
Who?
Kimber.
Like she knows what it feels like to be me.
I don't know what it feels like to be you. Mom? Oh, Miss Ellie, yeah, it's a spoon. No, Ken. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can get her. Cheryl. I'm sorry to hear you're under the weather. Yeah, I don't know where she is. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, sure. Cheryl. All right, look. You're upset, and I don't know what I am. So can we just walk into town and get a drink or something, please?
No, I don't understand why you're acting like this.
Okay, lower your voice. Like what? Look, can we just get away from the house and talk for a minute?
What do you have to say that you can't say here?
You acted all worried about what my mother like you and shit. You keep it up, I'm not sure I still like you. Damn. What has gotten into you?
I don't know. Really? I don't. You know, my dad has got a place over in Oak Bluffs. I'm sure they still come. That's why I don't want to go out. I am scared to death of running into his family. It's crazy, I know, but yeah, I think this was a bad idea. It's too close and it brings up all this stuff. One summer, my mom gets this fellowship to teach in Japan just for a month. And she asks my dad if I can spend part of the summer with him. You know what he said? It would be too complicated. We're going to the vineyard. Just like that. The vineyard.
Come here. Come here.
You just need me to hold it together, huh?
Sweetheart, I'm just working to hold it together myself.
You want to come to bed?
Nah, I need a little time. I'll catch you later.
You're mad?
I'm needing a little time.
Bravo!
Oh my gosh, so great. Jelani and Tiffany, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
So beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
So resonant.
The space for us to do this work.
Say that again.
I said thank you for creating the space for us to do this work.
Oh, that's our pleasure. But we're grateful that you come and do work here. So anytime, any place, both of you, so generous and so great with your talent. And Dell, thank you for joining us tonight. I can't wait to see all of you again very soon. So be well.
Also, nailing the medium, by the way, Jelani holding her face. That was.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly. Using the internet space, right? So Tiffany
Gorgeous.
and Dell, thank you so much. Jelani, if you can hang on 1 second, we have a little surprise for you. So that'd be great. So
I don't like surprises. Okay.
All right. Hopefully it's a good, you know, it's Christmas and New Year's.
But it'll be a good one.
Little holiday surprise.
Santa was nice to me this year, I guess.
Yes, very much. I think so. So for our viewers to know, in the fall, I was the streaming director for the series from the beginning in April right through to about the beginning of September. And then I'm actually a college professor at McClure State University, go McClure State, in the musical theater department. And so I needed someone to come in and become artistic director of the series who could help curate the plays and help cast the plays and work with Hudson, who became the streaming director. So we brought on a new producer who is a good friend of Schele Williams, and Schele is a good friend of mine. And she said, I think the two of you would be great together. And she actually has worked with you, Jelani, and I think the two of you are friends as well. So I'd like to welcome to the screen the Plays in the House producer, Jane Abramson.
Hey. Oh, this is such a fun show, Jelani. That was excellent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I miss you. I want to like hug you and squeeze you.
This has been such a pleasure to be even the tiniest part of the Stars in the House family. I certainly did not have as full a plate as Peter did. Peter really started this whole thing, but listen, we all know people who are in need right now. So this is such an amazing gift that that Seth and James are giving to our whole community. So thank you, everyone who has donated. Thank you to all the performers who have done such amazing work. And it's been such a gift to just even feel part of the community, like you all were talking about, Andréa and Peter. It feels part of the community. And actually my first one that I did, Jelani, I saw yours and it was amazing. And that just brought me right back. But another friend of ours helped me out on the first reading that we did. I had the great pleasure of working with some amazing women. And so I wanted to bring in another friend of yours, if you can stay on for a quick second.
Okay. Suspense is building.
Yeah. And she is.
Here we go.
Hey!
What's that?
And I'm filled with.
Should I come on singing? Joan surprised me one time on a video, and he was singing for me, but I didn't really have a good hook to come on.
So Rodriguez, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
Hey.
Oh, I miss you. How are you?
You're so serious. I got
Me?
your play is so serious. You're not my Disney star.
I can do both. I can be anything
I
you
know
want me
you
to be.
can. Revival 2021.
Absolutely.
Of both our shows, right? You could do both.
Truly. Oh, you look so good. You look so good. I really miss you a lot. How was everything with Holston?
Good. We finished. I shot a TV show in a pandemic.
Wow.
Wow.
In the
What was that
world.
like?
It was crazy. It was really nerve-wracking. And then once we got there, it just sort of became the norm, which then every once in a while you'd be like, that's even more weird that this is the norm. We would have these masks and shields, and then we'd have to rehearse. So you'd be like in the scene, and you know, your shields are like knocking up against each other as you're rehearsing, and then they say action, you take it off, and then you're like, that was like training with ankle weights. I don't actually know what to do with my feet now. I've had like all this equipment on. So it was interesting to like figure it out. But I mean, everyone is so professional and everyone's just so happy to be working that everyone really took it very seriously. And it was, I felt very safe, and I felt very grateful to be able to A, work, and B, provide content right now, which is so hard to do, which is the same sort of situation that you guys were able to provide for us, is new and innovative content at a time when it's nearly impossible. So it's really fun.
Wow, just like hearing you and seeing you, it was like the perfect Christmas gift. I needed that.
I miss you.
I love this reunion. Thank you so much, Jelani. This has been so great.
Thank you guys. All the best. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank
Bye,
you.
darling.
And Krysta, I realized I didn't say that we, Peter, since you explained that where you were working, I've been an executive at Disney Theatrical for quite a while now, and that's how Krysta and Jelani and I know each other, because we got to work on Hercules in the park, which was such a magical experience. And thank you again for doing the very first reading that I worked on with Plays in the House, The Smell of the Kill, especially because when I think back to all of the wonderful experiences that I've had, I still think about what you went through. And I wondered if you might share for some of the fans and friends many hoops that you went through.
Well, it was just, well, first of all, you know, I got the email or whatever to be invited to do it. And I was like, absolutely, because I love all of these people and I love the Actors Fund and I want to help as much as I can and I want to work, and I loved the play and I loved everyone that was involved in it. So I was like, absolutely. The only like slight hiccup was that at the time, as most of us have done, I did a pandemic career pivot and I was flipping houses in Kansas.
Wow.
At the time. So
like you do.
My parents and I.
This does not surprise me.
This does not surprise you at all.
By the way, I've known Krysta. We did In the Heights together, and she is known to deliver such outrageous alternative lifestyles. I'm so excited. Okay, so tell us.
And if you know my parents too, it's just like the least surprising thing you've ever heard is that we bought a motorhome early pandemic, and we lived in a motorhome in the driveway of a house that we were flipping in Kansas. And so it was 3 of us and 2 dogs, and being an actor was like not on my list of things I was doing for a few months. And so then when I got this, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I set up a iPad in the motorhome, but the internet wasn't so good. We learned during rehearsals. And so and I wasn't like showering with as much frequency as I would have liked to be on camera in a benefit. So I was covered in paint and grime and sludge and all kinds of things. I mean, we were like working, and so I rented a hotel. I got a hotel room for the night so I could take a shower and hook up to the Wi-Fi and do the play. So that was what I got to do just to be a part of it. And it was really fun. And really I did it for the shower and for the joy of and it all turned out great. We sold it. So it all worked out.
Amazing.
And then don't I remember that then the Wi-Fi went out, and so then you had to switch to the iPad and your phone service anyway?
That's true. Yes, that is true. The Wi-Fi in the hotel went out like 5 minutes before we were hooked up. So I was able to do like my hotspot on my phone, on the iPad, and you know, it's like the typical self-tape for an actor. There's like pillows stacked up and like the cameras sort of.
See, this is all the stuff you don't see.
Yeah, exactly. I like bought a shirt at Target that morning so that I could Because all I had was
all for the plays in the house. Thank you. The actors fund,
donation after donation after donation.
Hotel rooms and T-shirts. Thank you.
Exactly. So if you could have seen what was, there was dogs. We had to move the dogs so that they wouldn't bark at people in the hallway. It was like it was all the behind the scenes stuff you wouldn't know. And the play went pretty well. It was very, very smooth. It was a success as far as I was concerned.
It was awesome. You were awesome. And it really, I mean, this is one of 1,000 examples of the hoops that people have gone through to do something to benefit the Actors Fund and to benefit their community. So thank you, Krysta, and thank you to everybody. It's really wonderful.
Thank you. It was a joy to be able to get out of the grime and the sludge for a few hours.
The glamour of show business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So great seeing you, Krysta.
Thanks
you
for
so much
coming
for
on.
Good to see you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Seeing you.
Happy New Year.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, it's such an incredible story. I love that she got to the hotel and then the internet went out as well.
Yes.
Remarkable.
These are all the stories.
Exactly. So to continue the stories, we have another guest who's a friend of all of ours, as I had mentioned earlier, who's an extraordinary actor, an extraordinary director, an extraordinary activist and mother and wife. I mean, she just really, like, the
All
more I
around
know
great
her, the more
human.
I'm like, what else can you teach me? How else can I be inspired? Truly, I say that responsibly and with all the love in my heart. So this next guest directed 2 broadcasts, not one, but 2 broadcasts
Of one play.
of Noel Coward's Blithe Spirit. And we'll get to the bottom of that when we bring her on screen. Here is Schele Williams.
Yay, Shele!
Schele! Hi.
Being here.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh, now I'm blushing, Peter.
All true. All true.
That's how your directors are, but you have to be shouted out.
Oh, very
Because of all the amazing work you're doing in all areas. We're big fans over here, Schele.
How are you? How's your family?
Family's good. Family's good. It was it was a very different Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little crying a couple times, just missing my family.
Yeah.
But it was a tough day, but hopefully we made a sacrifice for a long life. So
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's well said. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you directed Blithe Spirit for us.
Yes. Incredible Miss Leslie Uggams.
Yeah. How about
I
that?
mean,
So you also, just like Dell was saying earlier, you worked with your cast a lot, because a lot of the plays we basically did a read through and then a tech and we were done. But you actually spent some time with this play with your actors. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, she's a long one. Like Blithe Spirit is long, and I did get some permission from the Noel Coward Foundation to make some cuts to it, which was very generous and very kind, especially for such a short presentation. They were magnificent to work with. But it's a long play and it's a very complicated play. And we probably did 2 days of rehearsal before the tech through. A lot of language to get in your mouth, and a lot of it is pacing, as Noel Coward. It was just, I had a dream cast.
Yeah.
Will Harper and Leslie and Tom Sussman, Angel Desai and Kendall Ito, Renee Elise Goldsberry, Meryl Dandridge. I mean, it was like, it was ridiculous cast.
Embarrassment of riches, yes.
It was pretty great.
And it was, and it was just a masterclass watching.
I agree.
Uggams. Like it was literally a masterclass.
Completely. And Montego with Will and Renee. Like Montego I say with great affection, getting away with things actors just shouldn't be able to get away with. And she did so beautifully, so comically, just great.
I mean, she's like made for Noel Coward.
Like, 100%. Absolutely. She's like a conduit of listening and impulse and
elegance.
Yeah. Truly. So we had a great tech rehearsal. And just to give a little backstory, Hudson, do you want to come up and talk a little bit just about you worked with Ms. Leslie you're gonna. So Hudson's gonna come over to our screen, everybody.
Please welcome our son, Hudson.
Hey! So
Here, jump on in.
We were in the trenches together.
Yes, you were in the trenches together.
Yeah.
I'm talking off camera, but
Okay.
you spoke with Ms. Leslie even before the rehearsal started to talk her through the StreamYard and all of that.
Yeah. So we did a couple different like conferences together just to. Oh, now it's just me. Hi.
Yeah.
We did a couple different conferences together to make sure that she was getting the hang of the platform because it's difficult for any actor. And basically, rehearsal went great. Everything's going super well. She was making costume changes every scene that were so fabulous. And just like, it was so amazing. And we were so excited. And then the day of the broadcast, basically, I'd say Leslie's like first entrance starts to get a little crackly and then a little more pixelated. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, you know, we know that it's like sort of like, I think there was bad weather over where she was. And so we were like, we just want to, I guess that's probably it, but it should be fine. And then she is just gone. She just leaves the studio completely. And so I think, okay, great. So we usually have a technical difficulties protocol, which I guess we could say that now that we're not doing any more plays, but basically we'll usually put on the creative team to speak about the piece in the meantime. And
that's when Schele came on.
Right. That's when you came on, Schele.
So here's a couple little fun facts that, Peter, I don't even know if you know, is that, so for this particular production, Seth and James were not hosting. And I think we talked and I was going to do the intermission time.
Yes.
So I had I had a beautiful note from the Old Howlett Foundation. I'd done my research. I had my fun facts. I was like ready to go. I had like I needed 10 minutes, but I'm an overachiever. I had 20 minutes of vamp, right? So now, I get a message from you, Hudson, that like, you're going to go live. And I'm
yeah. So basically while we're running back and forth around the apartment, I have Miss Leslie on the phone. And I think it's fair to say that she and I like fought in a war together. Basically, we just bonded so heavily because basically we were on and off the phone saying like, okay. The amount of times, and Pops knows because my dad knows because he was sitting right next to me. Like I on the phone went, okay, and we see you. We're good. You're in. That's great. And then and to her credit, like it was faulty internet. Like Miss Leslie was totally killing it and like figured out all of the internet stuff. It was so not her fault, but she kept on coming out every time. And so every time that happened, I'd have to, you were about to send something that's like, we're ready. And I'd have to say, no, we're not ready. Okay, great. So stay with me on the phone to the point where we said like, okay, well, I think like someone's got to go on. There was a moment where
I'm going to interrupt you for 2 seconds, only to tell you that while you're doing all of that, I'm chit-chatting with the actors. I've done now entire intermission speak, like I'm doing all the things. Like we're now talking about the Actors Fund. We're telling all the stories.
Incredibly.
Schele, you like Noel Coward, the Actors Fund, the cast, this current moment in our nation, COVID, like you covered things. It was like watching a TED Talk of the moment.
Yeah.
With Schele Williams.
The fateful moment, what people don't know about StreamYard is that when you're watching StreamYard, if you were inside it like I am right now, there's a chat that happens on the side so we can private message each other. So if things are happening, they're like, okay, wrap it up. We're ready to go. Miss Leslie's ready. So I can glance over it and see where we are, keep stretching, 2 more minutes. So Hudson, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically we started panicking, thinking about like, what are we going to go do? Who's going to go in? And there was a moment where I was like, Pops, like, can you just read Madame Arcadi?
And I was like, no.
You said, absolutely not.
And
because we're doing so many things technically on our side that I was like, no, wait, we can't juggle that. And so we put in the chat.
So then I think, Schele, you and I are both texting and chatting.
I'm talking live at the same time.
Exactly. You're talking live. I'm texting you. And I think I chatted you information that gave a lot of pertinent information, including we're ready to start again. It's going to be around page 78. And you had the entire cast around you, I think, at this point. And so,
and they were also reading in the chat.
And they were reading the chat, right?
Yeah.
So then, Schele, you tell the story from your point of view.
So I see we're ready to pick up at page 78. And I was like, that's all I see because I'm talking at the same time. And I glance and I said, This is so wonderful. Everyone, we're ready to resume the play. We're going to pick it up right where we left off, where, when I set up the scene, and I'm like, great. And I'm waiting for myself to go off the screen.
Right.
And I don't go away. And then Will goes, Schele, here's the thing. He goes, you're playing Madame Arcadi. And I just remember being like, wait, what?
I mean, the elan and joy and relief with which you said, "Oh, we're ready. Great. Please take it away." And you just
sat there.
And then just sat there while the whole company awkwardly knew you were supposed to take over.
It was horrifying. It was so funny. And then I'm like in my iPad trying to find the page. I'm like, what page are we on?
Right. But imagine that. Imagine any of you like this happening to you. And she was completely graceful and then just picked up and was one of the lead roles in the play for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And with aplomb, again, timing, charm, elegance, you got it.
Yeah.
You did so great.
And with the
So here's something that nobody knows. So intermission, we get to intermission, and now I have to do the intermission. So I now finished, and now I have nothing left. I have no material at all.
Right.
And I was literally just like, the Actors Fund is so great. And then and they were supposed to text me. I was supposed to get text of donations, but everyone was trying so hard to get Miss Leslie back that I literally just, honest to God, started naming family members and numbers. I was like, $50. Scott from Brooklyn. Scott's my husband. $100. I just
that is.
I had nothing to say. And I knew that my relatives were watching, and so I was just saying names and the city they were from.
Well, I'm happy. Some of them, couldn't even talk.
Wow, are we still rolling?
I'm hoping some of them were like, oh, I am $50.
Exactly.
Right now,
Yeah, exactly. You through the screen nudging that's right, Scott. We're going to donate.
Oh my God.
Oh,
it was so crazy. And mostly more than anything else, I just kept thinking that the audience is getting robbed of seeing Miss Leslie Uggams. I'm like, this is any time that you can ever see a performance that exquisite, that's what they should be watching. And I'm glad that we got to do it again. And although we have a couple technical hiccups the second time, we got through it. And I was so happy for that.
100% worth it. And so did our audience thought the same thing, that they just kept saying, so glad we're back. This is amazing. And Miss Leslie's doing a great job, so
she's amazing.
It was fantastic. So, oh my God. Thank you so much, Schele, for coming tonight and regaling us with that. It was a high point. So
it's wonderful.
So happy to have that moment all together, that we prevailed.
To work with your beautiful family. Hudson is so poised and so calm. I'm like, you could be in theater or you could be a neurosurgeon.
We're hoping for the neurosurgeon.
If only, then he could support his 1 million parents.
Can you say that a little louder and maybe send him a text later that it's a great idea?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Timing.
Please stay safe.
Oh, thank you.
Happy New Year. And I hope we see each other very soon. We send our love to you. You're just the best. Thank you, Schele.
I love you all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, so fun.
Oh my gosh.
And what's interesting is when Schele said they had technical difficulty the second time, it was actually with Will.
Yes.
And I remember Will going from room to room to room in his house of the internet's over here, now it's over here, now it's over here. So we had to keep him going too. So remarkable.
The madness that goes on.
I hope you're all having a great time. We have more guests to come. Thanks to all of you who are donating. If you can donate, please send whatever you can tonight. It's our final push from Plays in the House. As I said earlier, we raised more than $27,000 on our own for Plays in the House. So we'd love to raise that number tonight. And all of it goes to, as the Actors Fund told us earlier, 14,500 performing artists were helped through the Stars in the House, Plays in the House Actors Fund initiative. So thanks for giving.
Thank you. And we just received some note of some donations and some messages here that I will read. Yeah. Mark from Massachusetts donated $50. He very sweetly says, Peter, Andréa, and Hudson, thank you for the gift you are. Thank you. Donations tonight at the Actors Fund are being doubled. Happy New Year, and let's bring back live theater.
Okay, come on, everybody.
Woo-hoo!
It's being doubled tonight at the
Double
Actors
tonight.
Fund. So come on in with that donations. We can double our contributions.
Very exciting. Grant, $206. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank
Wow,
you so much for that.
amazing.
Lynn, $25. Thankful to Rob, and that comes with this message. Thankful to Rob McClure and Nick Walker for all the light they brought to 2020. Two of our favorite Plays in the House performers.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Caroline from Alabama donated $25.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. And said, getting to see these plays during this difficult time has been such a comfort to me and has taught me so much about classical plays. I am now a huge George Bernard Shaw fan.
Oh my gosh, Caroline, I'm so glad to hear that because this is your lucky night. Our very next guest is none other than the artistic director, founder, creator of the magnificent Gingold Theatrical Group, which started a little while ago, and we're going to talk to David about that as well. A good friend of ours, a magnificent director, artist, also activist, human being. We are very happy to have with us tonight, David Stoller.
Human being?
Hello, yes.
Hello, look at you.
It looks like you're doing your own Queen video. It's. I just want 3
What did
more.
you call me? Yes, I'm hovering in limbo until January 20th.
Yes.
I
there
see
you
that.
are.
Did you notice that I pronounced Bernard correctly? And when I said George Bernard Shaw, I learned that from you.
It's very impressive. It's always helpful to give these new up-and-coming playwrights a boost.
Yeah, exactly. So, and how about that? Caroline from Alabama is saying that she's now a big fan of Shaw because of.
Oh, thank you, Caroline from Alabama.
Really?
Yes.
David, give us a little background for our global audience tonight about why you started the Shaw series in Gingold Theatrical Group and its relevance right up into today.
I will. I was concerned about basic human rights and free speech. This was during the Bush administration, which now feels like the good old days. And there were journalists being fired for speaking out against the administration. And I'd been raised to believe in the power of theater as activism, and nobody embraced that as fully as George Bernard Shaw. So I'd been introduced to the world of Shaw by my godmother, Hermione Gingold, when I was about 10. Wow. And we used to do readings of his plays. So 15 years ago, we founded Gingold Theatrical Group. We named it as a tribute to Hermione, thinking, well, maybe we'll do this for a year and move on. Mm. But we decided to fully embrace the concept of theater as activism and began developing full programming. We do monthly readings, and we'll be continuing doing the readings, by the way, which I hope you'll both be involved in. Make sure everybody's on our mailing list, gingoldgroup.org, because we're going to keep on doing the readings.
Happily so. But I was going to say, you were such a gift to Plays in the House this year because you came with your whole trove of repertory and repertory players. And you were also such a delightful host.
Yeah, when I tallied it, you did 6 plays, David, at Plays in the House.
We did Arms and the Man, Candida, Mrs. Warren's Profession, Misalliance, Caesar and Cleopatra, Man and Superman. And then earlier this month, we did a little potpourri review called Super Shaw.
Oh, that's right. Super Shaw. Only I wasn't there to sing that like that just now. So I thought I'd throw it in tonight.
Probably a good
Super Shaw. I can take it in.
I'm grateful to have heard it. You know, I think most people don't realize that Shaw had become a playwright to be an activist. Wow. They think of him as just an old, dead white guy with a beard who wrote a lot, but he really gave his life to fighting for our rights, to empower the disenfranchised, especially women's rights, the freedom of thought and speech, the equality of all living beings, and the responsibility of individuals to promote societal progress and to help people who can't help themselves. It's really that basic. So the idea of using theater as a platform was all about communication, which is what you've all been able to accomplish with this series at a time when people were feeling so isolated and despondent, that you and Seth and James were able to create a forum for all of us artists to feel a sense of our community and also to connect to the world. I've gotten communications from Shanghai, Australia, England, Ireland, France, Reykjavik. I got an email today from someone in Reykjavik saying they're looking forward to seeing it tonight.
Wow.
Even as far away as Rio de Janeiro.
Wow.
And our theater company does a lot more than Shaw, but it's been fun to explore these Shaw plays with everybody.
And I found that they played so well in this format. I mean, you got a lot of fans during this during this time, this Plays in the House time.
They do. They're so alive on this format, which I found heartening and so gratifying.
Why do you think that is?
I think he uses the English language really well. I think like you said, it's about communication. I think he writes really well for each character. So we get really vivid human experiences out of the variety of people that Shaw includes in his plays. And then segueing, then I think the casts that you assembled for each of them both surprised and suited the material.
Oh, we've been so lucky to get people. You know, we do these monthly readings usually at Symphony Space, but the advantage of these jammy readings is
I just got that.
Right.
Is that people can, I mean, we've had people, I think that Hudson is going to explore later some of our online adventures, but we've had people in Jamaica, not Jamaica, New York, but Jamaica.
Jamaica
In our cast. We had somebody in Germany. We had somebody, people Colorado. We've had people all over the world in these readings. And for the audiences at home, I know you were explaining a bit, the variables, I'm amazed I have any hair or marbles left, because it's just, oh my God, when the sound in the mouth isn't syncing. And it's also one of the advantages of not being in a live theater, because I'm screaming. And
but listen, it's also one of the advantages for the audience, because they get to experience what it is to be in live theater. I mean, hopefully live we don't make as many mistakes, but it does give it that sense of, it's a reminder that we're all communing in this one moment in time for art's sake. And I think people really enjoyed those gaffes more than, I mean, they tortured us, but I think they really connected us all as humans in ways that I don't think we can possibly appreciate.
Well, we've got a couple of great actors coming up, and one of them, I think, after we do this little scenelet, is going to talk about his adventure with online. But I'm hoping Hudson later will also talk about when I texted him, and we were losing one of the actors, and I just said, Hudson, you're on.
Yes, that did happen.
Yes, that did happen.
That's right. That's right. And I remember he was working. We went away this summer, and so he was like downstairs, and we. Yes, all of a sudden, Peter, I think, texted me and said, "You don't want to miss he was just doing it on his own. You don't want to miss this one. He's about to go on. He's about to go on." We're all very excited, and you ready?
Yeah.
Well, do you want me to talk a little bit about the scene that we're going to do?
Yes. While you do, let's bring up our actors that we're.
Oh yes, please.
Two Plays in the House favorites, and remarkable actors on their own right, and good solid people.
Burns Flynn favorites too.
Exactly. I'll bring Rob McClure up first so that then he can introduce our next guest. Here's Rob McClure. Hi.
Hello, friends.
Oh, so happy to have you here. How are you, Rob?
I'm good. My little girl just turned 2 right before Christmas, and then we had Christmas, so it's we're good. Grateful to be healthy and hanging in.
Sure. That's so great. I'm so happy for all of you. That's great.
Thank
Can you introduce our next guest?
Sure.
And
as Sally Field said on the Tonys, ladies and gentlemen, Santana Fontino.
That's Santino Fontana, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who already.
Oh my God, that's true. That happened.
One of the greatest moments of my life.
Oh my God. Keep reminding everybody, God. Oh my God.
Amazing.
I love you.
We're friends. You can do
Thank you
that.
both for being back.
Guys, how are you?
Hi, Santino. Hi, Rob.
Hey.
Hi, David.
So thank you, gentlemen, all for being back. Before this turns into Rowan and Martin's laugh-in.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh my gosh. God, with these two. Yes, exactly. David, why don't you give us a little précis of where we're going in this play, and then we'll hear a little show off.
Great. So this happens at the top of the first act, and where all the waiters are dancing, and they're waiting for someone to appear at the top of the stairs.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not sure which of you is going to play this part.
David. I think you're mistaken, David.
Yeah.
Unless you're preparing to do
For Hello Dolly.
kabuki version of Hello Dolly.
Oh, right. Sorry. Wrong play.
No.
Okay, so we're going to do a play called Man and Superman. I'm not sure which of you is playing which of those two characters.
You'll find out.
It was written in 1903, and it was a time of tremendous global change. This was Shaw's 12th out of 65 plays. He was an insomniac, so he had to do something with his time.
And he was single.
He wasn't. He was married.
Really? Wait a minute. I thought.
Wow.
There's so much we have to talk
about Shaw every day.
Every day, guys. He was married. You learned that tonight.
We'll talk about it later, David.
Okay. I'll meet you at the pub. So it was a time when new inventions were so important in the world, like automobiles, and the whole idea of an automobile representing the future and change and journeys and taking journeys and moving fast. And Shaw was already reading Freud, so the idea of objects as symbols for the human experience kind of fascinated him. It was also a time when men and women were re-examining their roles. Women's rights, Shaw was working very hard for women to get the vote. They still didn't have it for 15 years, but it was also forcing men to reevaluate their role in society as women were exerting their will, and not a moment too soon. So the emerging educated working class, as embodied beautifully by Mr. Rob McClure, thank you. We're shaking things up a lot, and the wealthy owner of this automobile knows nothing about it. So he has to hire somebody to drive it and to run it, and is clearly more in touch with himself and the world and his place in it than this wealthy British aristocrat. So here we have this magical moment between these two, the entitled wealthy class determined to hide from life, and his chauffeur, Rob McClure, who has just finally decided to confront his employer about what he perceives as what's going on under his employer's nose, who's completely unaware of it. How's that?
Sounds great.
All right.
Without any further ado,
ladies and gentlemen, Santino Fontana and Rob McClure in Man and Superman.
Well.
About this trip, Straker.
Yes?
Miss Whitfield is supposed to be coming with me.
So I gather.
Mr. Robinson is to be one of the party.
Yes, indeed.
Well, if you can manage to be a good deal occupied with me and leave Mr. Robinson a good deal occupied with Miss Whitfield, he will be deeply grateful to you.
Evidently.
Evidently, your grandfather would have simply winked.
My grandfather would have touched his hat with hand out.
And I should have given your good, nice, respectful grandfather a sovereign.
Half that, more likely. What about the lady's views?
She is just as willing to be left to Mr. Robinson as Mr. Robinson is to be left to her. But be that as it may... No. Stop that aggravating noise. What do you mean by it?
We'll see.
Henry, I have ever been a warm advocate of the spread of music among the masses, but I object to your bursting with it whenever Miss Whitfield's name is mentioned.
Well, it's not a bit of use. Mr. Robinson may as well give it up first as last.
Why?
Oh, God. You know why. Of course, it's not my business, but you needn't start kidding me about it.
I am not kidding. I don't know why.
Very well. All right. Ain't my business.
I trust, Henry, that as between employer and engineer, I shall always know how to keep my proper distance and not intrude my private affairs on you, but don't abuse your advantages. Let me remind you that Voltaire said that what was too silly to be said could be sung.
Nah, wasn't Voltaire. That was Beaumarchais.
It was Beaumarchais. I stand corrected. Beaumarchais, of course. As man to man, Henry, why do you think that my friend has no chance with Miss Whitfield?
Because she's after something else.
Bosh, what else?
You?
Me?
Oh, come, Mr. Tanner. I'm not playing no fool. If you ain't spotted that, you don't know much about these sort of things. Excuse me, Mr. Tanner, but you asked me as man to man, and I told you as man to man.
Then I am the destined prey.
That's what you are, and no mistake. And jolly good job for you too, I should say.
Henry Straker, the moment of your life has arrived.
What do you mean?
That record to Biskra?
Yes.
Break it.
Do you mean it?
I do.
When?
Now. Is that machine ready to start?
But you can't.
First to the bank for the money, then to our rooms for our kit, then break the record from London to Dover, then across the channel and away like mad to any port from which we can sail to a country where men are protected from women.
You're kidding.
Stay behind then. If you won't come, I'll do it alone.
Tanner jumps into the driver's seat and starts the motor.
Here now, mister. Half a road. Steady on.
The motor kicks a bit, starts to growl. Stryker scampers along as it starts to roll and scrambles in just as the car plunges forward in a cloud of dust. And as they speed away down the road, down comes the curtain!
Bravo! Yes! Bravo! With musical accompaniment and everything. Brilliant. Visuals. It's amazing. Yeah, it was like an action movie for a moment.
That's right.
But so great. So great. We're having Hudson come over because he wants to ask Rob about a certain experience that happened during the broadcast.
Hey!
Sweet wounded Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about mid-show, like basically a hair before your cue line? What happened on your end?
Yes, we were doing a group scene, and Nikki James had the last line of the scene, and then I knew that David had some narration, and then I was going to do a scene with the incomparable Lenny Wolpe. And I finished the scene with Nikki. I say my last line, and I thought, oh, look, everybody froze. I wonder what's going on. Oh, that's probably me if everybody simultaneously froze. So all of a sudden I start looking, and I realize that the room I'm in is on an extension from the main Wi-Fi, modem.
Right.
So I realized, oh, maybe the main signal is okay because the play is continuing on without me. So I grab my laptop and I run to a different room of the house, and I open my laptop and I click the other network, and I open the screen. I re-click the link. It pops up. I scroll through the script to my next line, and I see right above my line the words garden path as David says, strolling along a garden path. And I started to speak, and it was miraculous. that it happened, but I genuinely was having a heart attack. It was
right, and it really was that quick. Like I remember on my end, because this was after I took over, so I was just doing these alone. I'm basically backstage, like so ready to click the technical difficulties card, like knowing like stuff like this happens, people go out, but like there's no way he's gonna make it, because if he's out, like he's got like a tiny paragraph of narration before you came in, and so I'm this close. I'm like, that's great. We'll introduce the next scene. We'll call it for technical difficulties, and then we'll go in. And I'm right here, and all of a sudden, I hear your voice, like as I'm looking at the script, and I'm like, and you're right in, like on your cue line. What gets me too is like you left, like on the period at the end of the sentence of your last line. And then you get, like, it looked like I was doing an amazing job bringing you back.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I will never forget, as long as I live, I will never forget scrolling to the words garden path as I heard echo in the internet. It was miraculous, but I was glad that it worked out. And Lenny Wolpe had been trying to figure out technically what he was doing all day. Poor Lenny was like trying to get it right. And so here I was thinking, like, I've abandoned Lenny Wolpe. And I was just able to get in last second. Lenny didn't even know that anything had happened. He just started the scene, but thankfully it all worked out. But bigger problems in the world. But for us, that was terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And fun fact, so as David knows, and I think you guys do too, that was our largest cast for a play that we've ever done. And so we did a lot of adapting of bringing people in and out of the studio. And
explain why.
Yeah, well, basically there's a capacity on StreamYard of having about 10 people backstage. And this play featured, I believe, 13, including David as the narrator. And so 13, including David as the narrator, and me backstage controlling everything, because I count as a person. So I count as a person.
That's what I say.
True.
But basically so basically we figured out a way to bring everybody in like exactly when they needed to be, and rotating a bunch of different actors. And it's the most like hands-on tech execution of a play that I had ever done. And it was like one of the only plays that we actually had like no visible technical difficulties through, because Rob came in right there and saved us. So
I wish I could say it was my doing, but the signal decided to work. The weird thing about this though is the notion that for people at home, this looks like I'm talking to you guys, but I'm actually talking to the lens of the camera. So it's such a weird thing to try and play opposite Santino this way and sort of like try and clock what he's doing in my periphery. But it's a strange new world of performing, but one that, you know, we're all exploring in the time until we can do what we love to do.
Yeah. That's why we're looking forward to bringing back live theater. Let actors make eye contact again.
Yes.
Yes.
But this is why I thank you so much, you guys. This is why I love hearing all of these stories too, because people enjoy watching these plays, but it's like you have no idea. And the fact that you jumped back in, Rob, and I'm sure the adrenaline and the panic, right? And your heart is still beating, and you continue the scene beautifully, and you know, no one's the wiser. Thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen. We're so lucky that you came and joined us. Have beautiful holidays. Peter's going to come on and say bye too.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes.
Happy New Year. Thank you all for being here. David, thank you so much for curating what you did for the series. Honest to goodness. I mean, Herculean and always collaborative, great casts, and such a wonderful host. I think the first time you hosted it was by accident or necessity, and by the second or third time I just knew that's whom we wanted hosting each time we had a Shaw play, for your graciousness and your generosity. So thank you so much for all you did for us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's true. Thank you, guys. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thanks so much.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Wow, it's so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks everybody for being with us.
Drama.
I know. See, now you're getting to see the backstage side of it, and it continues through
And the
all of these.
the flop sweat.
Exactly.
Alone.
I've changed my shirt twice during this broadcast alone. Thank goodness I have a lot of white shirts.
But wait,
we have
there's
just
more.
a few more performances, and the next couple of performances are from a series we did in the middle of the summer. When Stars in the House, the series started switching raising money from the Actors Fund to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. We wanted to do the same thing at Plays in the House. But we also wanted to make sure that our content was, as David said, being a part of the activism that we can do. As artists, there are only certain things we can do, and we use our art to hopefully make a difference in the world. And so we put together 3 different episodes called Free Speech, the Performing Arts and the Power of the Spoken Word. And the first series was of professional actors, the second series was of writers, and the third series was of the next generation of student actors, all from different diverse backgrounds. And so we have 2 of those actors with us tonight to offer not only what they did before, but they're actually doing something completely new this evening. The first actor is a dear friend of mine who I actually met at Stella Adler's studio when he was a student. And from that performance I saw of him there, he was in a production of Top Dog, Underdog. And I remember to this very day that riveting performance. He couldn't be with us tonight, so he sent a video, but he has since been on Broadway in Hamilton, and he was just on Broadway. Ain't You Proud? In Ain't You Proud, yes. Thank you so much, Andrea. But he sent along a video with a piece he wanted to offer, recalling our series Free Speech. So here's the one and only, the very generous Nick Walker.
What's going on, everybody? It's Nick Walker here. I'm honored to be here for the final Plays in the House episode. This has been such an amazing series. So last time I was on, I did a monologue from Merchant of Venice, and that is a piece that I think reflected a lot of the rage that I was feeling. I did a Shylock piece that was all about, just looking at people with equity. And I was thinking about what I could contribute to this incredibly star-studded evening, and the only thing that I came to is, what have I been thinking about as we close out 2020, and I think, just like a lot of us, I'm thinking about how to deal with all this loss. How do we move on from all the loss that we have felt over this past year? And this monologue, or this moment that I chose, is a very well-known moment, but I think kind of maybe has a little more hopeful of a bent on loss than people give it credit for. Loss and grief and passing of time. So I give it to you now. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep no more. And by a sleep we say to end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and the scorns of time, the presser's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will. It makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied all with the pale cast of thought. And enterprises of great pith and moment with this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you,
Hello,
Nick.
thank
Oh my gosh,
you.
wherever you are tonight, thanks so much for sending that, Nick. We're so grateful you were able to be with us. Our second actor from the series of Free Speech this past summer is a young actor I had the great pleasure and honor of meeting in Washington, D.C. She played the baker's wife in a production of Into the Woods for Ford's Theater that I directed. And from then
Brilliantly,
on,
I might add.
such a beautiful, beautiful performance. And from there on, I became a fan, and she is an activist and an actor and a writer, and I think is presenting something that she has written herself tonight, as she did back this summer with Free Speech. So here she is coming on screen, Awa Salseka.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you too. Can you hear me okay?
Very well.
Good, good. Thank you so much for having me again. And thank you so much for all the kind things you said.
It's true, all of them, 100% true. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just, the holidays are a wonderful time. Everything, I don't know. I love Christmas. I'm Muslim, but I love Christmas. If I had enough money, I would throw presents everywhere. I love it. I would buy the biggest tree ever. I'd be the biggest who in Whoville if I could. But yeah, so I'm feeling very good, very uplifted right now. Getting to spend some time with some people virtually or social distantly as much as we can, but that feels good as opposed to earlier this year where we were all like so, I think as someone earlier in this video said, isolated and reclused. So yeah, good. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about what you'll be performing.
Yes. Okay. So the piece that I'm reading from today is actually a play that I've been writing with a friend of mine. Her name is Danny Stoller. We started writing after, actually the impetus of the piece was the George Floyd piece that I wrote for Stars in the House earlier this year. And she read it, and we've been good friends for a really long time. And she just was like, hey, would you be interested in writing a play together about kind of what's going on right now? And we started to write, and we implemented poetry. And so now it's become this wonderful thing. And it follows the story of a young woman of color. Her name is Alaya, and her relationship with a young woman who is Jewish, who's Shiri, and them kind of just figuring each other out, but also recognizing that there's so much that you'll never know about somebody. No matter how much you love them or for how long you love them, there are still mysteries about people that no matter how much we try to dissect them, we won't know. And a part of the loving is letting that belong to the other person, especially when it comes to things like culture or race. I can take you to as many cultural events as I can about my Gambian culture or my African American culture. But there will never be anything like sitting in my shoes, and I'll never know your experience, but that shouldn't change the way or how deeply I love you, and so that's the thing in the play, and it deals with grief and it deals with loss, kind of in the way of what we saw earlier this year, and reconciliation between family members and distance and all that stuff. So yeah, it tackles a number of things, but in a very succinct way, I think, and a lot of things that I don't think that we have seen just yet about Black people on stage, or Black queer people at that as well. So so this is what I'm going to read for you. Is going to be the opening poem, and I'll read the stage directions just so you get some context. as well. Great. Yeah.
Great. We're going to go backstage, and the stage is yours. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Aliyah starts this piece somewhere in the house and uses the piece to make her way onto the stage. She doesn't really notice the audience. She's focused. She is dimly lit, but lit well enough that you can't see her face, almost as if in a close-up in a movie. She follows a light, deep yellow or gold. Let there be multiple lights that help her make her way to the stage, so that just as she catches one, another light appears somewhere else in the house. This is not meant to be frustrating to her. She remains regal, playful even. Let her finding of the light be just as joyous as the recitation of the poem. Joy is yellow, or more surely gold, solid. Joy lives not only in pockets but on eyelids, and even on Saturdays when the week's work has been hard and you are in need of a sip and paint. Joy is more than wine alone, far more than a drone of happiness. Its tone even expects a continuity in and of itself that doesn't allow a consonant to end it. Joy. You feel it when you say it. I believe it's universally innate. We assume that joy is molecularly human, that it started in primates in our ancestors' brains, but I believe that if you can hurt, you can feel joy, as joy is not the opposite, but the reflector of pain. Joy, or gold, is strong and still malleable. In its purest form, it holds its molded shape, yet even then, it will bend to the will of your hand's warmth, because joy, like gold, is stronger when it shares space with metals unlike its own. When it's liquescent and precisely portioned with other alloys, its molecules dance beside its unfamiliar brethren, and only then is its incandescence irreversible. So then, of course, just as gold must live beside and within palladium or copper or platinum, or how we as people must live in and about one another, even though we are not all blood brothers, joy must live beside pain. Pain makes joy stronger, makes it shine brighter for longer than any memory alone could allow. Joy without pain would only be a momentary kindness of the mind. Joy would only be happiness, a fleeting feeling, one of depth, yes, but of less unconditional meaning. Meaning, happiness is ego leading those so out of touch with their inner reality that whatever brings momentary peace becomes enough to want to live in that fallacy, and that warped reality becomes tough to sustain, and eventually it brings you back to your pain. But joy exists within pain, within joy, within pain, in between anger and annoyance, within every tear and every fearful thought. Joy remains buoyant. It is both the buoy and the sea. You see? Aliyah looks out into the audience in amazement. Unbelievable. The last light is a lamp, unlit, on stage, beside the couch that Shiri, Aliyah's girlfriend, sits on. She makes her way to the lamp and then recites the next. Joy, like the ocean, like gold, lasts for what feels like forever, even after the moment's gone. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
You are our.
Thank you so much.
Truly, joy is buoyant. I'm going to carry that with me into the new year. That is both the buoy
and the sea. Come on.
Thank you so much.
We just got our instructions for 2021 from Awa Salseco. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again. This is really a pleasure. It was just awesome to be able to share this with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hear the rest of as well. So we can please be in touch about what you and Danny are creating, and we can't wait to come and support you.
Yeah, it's being workshopped at Only right now, and God willing, it will be produced.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Our love to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Wow, what a special offering.
Beautiful. And I just want to say, I have to brag. I'm the wife. What can I tell you? I just want to throw you some special props about during that time. It was very confusing to know what the right thing to do. And all of a sudden it seemed in the summer that just putting on plays seemed like such a trivial thing to do. And, you know, the way you decided to just say, I don't think we're going to do plays for a minute. I think I want to give a platform to voices that want to be heard. And the amount of people who showed up to contribute, like Awa, like so many of our incredible friends, so many gifted artists, writers. And it was just a very special thing that I know you and Hudson are extremely proud of, but thank you for introducing us to voices like Awa's. And it was a pretty powerful time. And I'm so proud that it was part of the Stars in the House journey.
Me too. I mean, and truly the variety of artists that we have been introduced to and that will continue to be prolific and joyful and successful and effective in changing the shape of how we do theater is going to be remarkable. So Awa, thank you again. And thanks to all the artists that joined us during the Free Speech series. It was terrific. And thank you.
You're welcome.
We have one last offering to bring you. Before that, we want to say thank you to a few people as well. Before we do that, though, you were the host of your own series, Andréa Mondays.
Just the Mondays parts of Stars in the House.
Exactly. And,
yes.
You know, I was thinking about, I am going to be missing doing plays in the house, especially because when I'm backstage, I get to see the chat of everybody watching, of all of you that are enjoying the programs with us. And
yes.
It made me think that I long to continue that conversation. So though this is the final plays in the house, I genuinely say to all of you, when you come and see something that Andréa is doing, or if I'm working on, or you see us standing in the lobby, please come up and introduce yourself and let us know that you are a part of our community of plays in the house. It would be great to continue this conversation when we are all back in the live performative experience. I look forward to meeting you all there as well. And thank you for your continued support of the Actors Fund and everything that you've done to help our community not only survive, but maintain relevance and clarity and health and purpose in our community. It's been a big deal. So thank you so much. And to that end, just like on Andréa Mondays, you have a little musical offering.
Yes.
About being back at the theater. Huh?
Yes. And as Peter said, do come and find us, because all this time you've been seeing us, but we've missed seeing you. We'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. We'll be in a play, an evening or a matinee, and from the stage we'll see the mezzanine, the balcony. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's play. We'll all be back so bright and gay. We'll be back home on old Broadway. We'll find you next in 21, and when the night is new, we'll be looking for you soon. And we'll be seeing you. Can't wait.
Oh, it was great, Andréa. So well done. You've got a father, you've got a husband and a son applauding for you. It's just great.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will be seeing you soon too. Can't wait. So as we wrap up, we just want to thank so many people. First of all, we want to give a nod to Plays in the House Teen Edition, which was another series that came from Stars in the House and Plays in the House.
Yes.
A brainchild of Julie Radetsky-Wesley. And she did a great job culling some great plays for young people, directed and artistic directed by Anika Larson. So shout out to the two of you. Well done. We also want to thank the Actors Equity Association, the American Guild of Musical Artists, the American Guild of Variety Artists, SAG-AFTRA, and the Theater Authority for their cooperation in permitting the artists to appear on this program over and over and over again.
Couldn't have
You've
done
done a
this without
spectacular
you.
job. We want to thank our team of Maria Didia, Tara Rubin, our terrific casting director, who truly in the middle of doing a lot of other virtual casting sessions would pick up her phone, answer a text and say, oh, you know what? I've got a list for you. Let me just send it to you. And 5 minutes later, we would get so many different wonderful options, all of which you saw in our plays throughout the series. David Katz and Jonah Verdon, who did technical support for us, just like Hudson. And then finally, of course, thanks to Seth and James and Jane. Thank you, Jane, for doing such a great job and continuing the series. And Seth and James, you're just some of the biggest hearts we know in our business. Funny and compassionate and generous and tenacious and perseverant. So brava.
Yes.
Thank you for doing such a good job. And thank you for my call.
Anywho, our Stars in the House merch. I just want to add one more thank you to the amazing Eli Carpenter, who served as literary manager, overall problem solver. He is someone so dear to us, and he was so important to Plays in the House. Eli, we love you.
Who is
Thank
second?
You so much.
He is also celebrating his second wedding anniversary, I think, this evening. So, Eli,
happy
congratulations.
anniversary.
Otherwise, he would be here. Very quickly, I will say, when I got the job, I called Eli and I said, Eli, I can't do this without you. Eli has been my associate and my right-hand person through so many different productions and events. And so thank you, Eli. Just means the world that you're along for this trip with us as well. Okay, so this is the end of our show. We have one last performance.
I'm so excited about this, you guys.
I'm trying to contain my both my excitement and how moved I am. We are basically finishing where we began. As Seth and James said, the very first thing we did was a reading of Wendy Wasserstein's The Heidi Chronicles. Woo, I am moved. And it was the original cast who came back so generously to do that. All of whom I was such big fans. It was one of the first plays I saw when I came to New York as a young professional. And I can honestly say I saw the show 4 times. And saw the spectacular original cast. And so we are very fortunate and grateful to have back. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I just want to say that the original cast agreed to reunite for this live performance decades later.
Yeah.
And it was just such an incredible act of generosity and also such a beautiful thing to witness them all reunited and coming together and celebrating this great piece of art that they gave to us that we love and lifting it up together. So without further ado, please welcome Joan Allen and Peter Friedman in The Heidi Chronicles.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
Hello, what a show.
Oh my gosh. It's
I
been
know, great show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out backstage and watching it out and seeing everybody.
We've been getting drunk back here.
And virtually too. Wow, the virtual green room. We're so grateful to have you both back. What was that like? I have a very naive question. I don't even think I asked the first time we were together because we were working so hard. Was that the first time you all had been together in quite some time when you came back for this reunion?
Joan.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how many years had it been?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again, Andrea?
How many years had it been?
20, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been 11 at least, or 20. No, it's been 30. I can't even count.
More like 30, I probably.
What year is this?
Wow.
That was what was so special about it. Not only that it goes to this cause that means so much to us, but that we were seeing all these old pals, and it was a good reason to put out those emails and search out some numbers and put it all together. It was some fun.
Yeah.
It is extraordinary. And did you, I know you all hung out in the studio afterwards, that at that time it was David Katz doing technical direction, and David and I sort of just left the room and you stayed in the studio. And were you able to catch up a little bit more after that? And have you stayed in touch since with each other? Or
we haven't. I got a couple of emails out of it. And I just, I don't know why we haven't done it. It seems like everybody but 2 people I'm in pretty steady contact with on a normal basis. But I haven't outreached the people who are farther away right now.
Yeah.
Joan, have you?
I did. I reached out to Boyd Gaines.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I hadn't caught up with him for quite a while, but I haven't with anybody else. But it was so special.
Yeah.
Seeing everybody's face and reading it together.
Yes.
Even though we're not age appropriate anymore.
It was perfect.
It was so
it was
great,
perfect.
though. Yeah.
It just didn't matter.
It
didn't matter.
It was just very,
You are those parts. I mean,
Exactly.
you created them. You are them.
Truly.
It's through a mist now, though.
Very Brigadoon.
Yes, yes, Brigadoon, yes.
Exactly. There really was something sort of lightning in a bottle about, like James and Seth said, very quickly going, oh, we should be doing plays as well. Oh, so yes, let's do Heidi Chronicles, but we should do it with the original cast. Can we? And you all came together, and the Wendy's writing, your performances, you seeing each other, like it was really kismet of something that just like, at least for my experience, it was something that both uplifted me and calmed me watching that experience, right? Like it was like, we didn't know what was happening in the country. And then I watched that, and I remember the next couple of days that I felt so okay. And there was something about you all, and like I said, Wendy's writing and what she covers in the play, that all together made me go, okay, there's a foundation here. And I think I know.
There's a basic goodness in her characters, and that's what we take with us. Even though it's so long ago, and it was so current at the time, and it might not feel that now. There's something about everybody trying their best that feels good.
Yeah. I agree. So without any further ado, everybody watching, Peter and Peter and Joan are going to read Scoop and Heidi in the very last scene of the play. They had met many years before this. I think about 21 years before this, Scoop and Heidi had met, I think canvassing for Eugene McCarthy, but it is now 1989, in an empty white room with a fireplace. The room has been freshly painted white. It's a warm afternoon and sunlight streams in through the window. A rocker. Heidi, seated, is reading through a book galley. Scoop enters. He's dressed for a business lunch in a suit and raincoat.
Hello. Hi, I'm canvassing for Eugene McCarthy for president. Miss Helen, you might be interested in my publication, The Liberated Earth News. We tell the truth the way the people say it. So what's up? This is a nice apartment. What do they call it? Raw space with rocker?
I moved in last week. Furniture hasn't come yet.
You know what you could use here? Chintz. Chintz. Curtains would be very nice, but not shiny. Be specific.
What do you know about chintz?
Now, that's sexist. That's really sexist. I've decorated at least 4 houses, and I've edited a magazine for 10 years that was responsible for the chintz renaissance as we know it today. In fact, do you know why warm Mediterranean colors have returned to the home palette?
Yes, because Boomer magazine warned us against the disastrous side effects of too many pastels. Right, Scoop? What are you doing here?
Maritime art.
You came to my raw space for maritime art.
I have an offer to buy maritime art. April Lambert's husband is into equestrian art, so horses are out of the question for me. But I'm considering maritime art. I've always liked Turner.
Oh, well, you know,
or Winslow Homer. So, are you happy?
What?
Yeah, I made a list the other day of the people I care about, and you made the top 10. In fact, I reworked the list a few times, and you were the only one who made the top 10 through 3 decades. Yeah, you and Smokey Robinson were the standard. So if I can keep you on my list, you can tell me if you're happy and why. Oh, good cookies.
A+ pecan, B- Sandy.
Better. B+ Sandy.
Well, actually, I am seeing an editor, it seems like.
Good. Time for my life now. See, I've grown over the years. We did you first. I think that shows remarkable control and sensitivity. Can you keep a secret?
If this involves someone in fishnets 25 or younger, not really.
I hate it when you're prissy. Does your editor know you're prissy?
Yes, he's even more prissy than I am. Scoop, why are you here?
Touch base. There aren't that many people in my life who really know me. I sold Boomer magazine 2 hours ago. You're the first one.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I was at lunch at Lutece with the potential buyer and his lawyer, and I made a deal with myself. If I could get the lemon souffle without ordering a day in advance, I'd sell. Have you ever ordered souffle in advance of Lutece?
No.
Do it.
I don't want to.
Pick up the phone. Do it. This is the best dessert I've ever had.
No, Scoop, stop it.
Hi, it's Scoop Rosenbaum. I'd like to order 2 souffles for tonight.
Scoop, I am not going to Lutece for dinner tonight, and I'm certainly not dropping by for dessert. I'm busy.
We're undecided. Lemon and chocolate. I'll call you back. Thank you.
I have a date.
With who? That editorial drone? Where did he go to school? You're not missing a lemon souffle at Lutece for an intimate evening dangling participles. Hello, this is Mr. Rosenbaum. Who's it? Oh, bonjour, Philippe. Comment allez-vous?
Yes, Scoop, where's Lisa?
She's in Florida with Maggie and her mother. Pierre's in town with me.
Maybe we should call Lisa.
No, we shouldn't call Lisa. Philippe, 2 citron soufflé.
All right. Maybe we should call someone else.
Oh, you mean, is there a fish date somewhere in town so you don't have to deal with me tonight?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
no such luck. Philippe, merci. Baby, I'm yours, and I'll be yours.
Do you really sell Boomer magazine?
Yeah,
Why?
because I wanted to buy Maritime Art. Do you know how much they paid me?
No.
I think this space could use a turner or two. I'll get you a few for Christmas.
Okay, yeah, but why did you do it?
What's it all for, Heidler? What's it all for?
But you liked it.
Yeah.
And you're good at it.
And I stopped pastels in the nick of time, and I helped get a few people elected and a few people investigated, and a single man who likes oral sex when he reads the Talmud placed an ad and married a woman who doesn't. I did all that. Now what?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Now what? What do I show my children and say, see kids, Daddy did that? Do I say, see that restaurant Maggie? Daddy started going there, and suddenly everybody was going there until they started going somewhere else. Do I say, Pierre, your father was known as an arbiter of good taste in a decade defined as sexy, greedy? Or is my greatest legacy to them buying a farm in Litchfield County before the land value went soaring? Will my kids say, my dad was basically a lazy man and a philanderer, but he had a nose for Connecticut real estate, and we love him because he didn't make us weekend in the Hamptons?
Oh, didn't know you worried so much about your children.
I'm sorry. I mean, we hardly know each other anymore. I'm being very self-indulgent, yeah?
Yes.
I'm a spoiled man with superficial values, yeah?
Oh, God, don't look at me like that.
Like what?
Don't look at me with those doe eyes and tell me how spoiled you are. You know, the next thing I know, you'll tell me you never meant to hurt me.
Maybe we should try again.
Why?
You're lonely and I'm lost.
Oh my God. Oh, please.
But you might enjoy that. I don't. How much?
I enjoyed that. I did.
How much did you enjoy it?
I did.
So, how much?
A lot.
So, as my old friend and longtime observer, what do you think I should do now?
Oh boy, I'd say hold on to that land in Litchfield County.
It's nice to see you, Idla.
Well, it's nice to see you. I have absolutely no idea why Lisa stays married to you.
You would have stayed married. You would have married me.
No, but I wouldn't have stayed married to you.
Well, then, good thing I'm married to Lisa.
Yep, good thing.
I never liked your caustic side. You and Peter share that. How is Peter?
Peter's moved in with a nice anesthesiologist named Ray. And he still runs that ward. And on weekends, they garden at their home in Bucks County.
A handsome doctor in a country house. Peter's living my mother's dream. I thought of both of you last week when I was flying home from LA.
Oh, really? You did?
Yeah, it was nighttime and I recognized Chicago from the sky. And I remember the first time I visited you there. Remember? I spent the day asking for Goethe Street until I called and you said, tell me it's pronounced Goethe. Anyway, I wondered if flying over Chicago for my grandchildren would be like driving past an A&W root beer stand for me. I think about the future all the time now.
Skip, you didn't sell Boomer magazine for a lemon souffle.
Heidi, on a scale from 1 to 10, if you aim for 6 and get 6, that's the ball game. So you might as well try for your 10.
No, if you know what your 10 is.
Well, I have a notion. Oh, yeah. One other thing. Susan told me you adopted a baby last week.
She did?
Yeah. And I thought, fuck you. If you have the courage to make the move and go for your 10, then what am I waiting for?
Wait a minute. Why is my baby my 10 and your work is your 10?
I didn't mean it that
Well,
way.
it certainly came out that way. I am not some empty vessel.
No, you're not, but I appreciate the maritime illusion.
And anyway, I wasn't alone in the wilderness. Peter helped me. Shall I get off my high horse now, or would you like to hear more?
You're cute.
You're deceptive. She's asleep in the other raw space.
This entire time, why didn't you say anything?
Why didn't you say anything?
What do you call her?
Vicious dumpling.
Really?
Peter suggested Panama Hattie in honor of his favorite musical and her place of birth.
Certainly a noticeable college application.
And I also considered Lila, Mary, or Grandma, so she'll grow up to be a painter, or Crystal and Ronette, so she'll grow up to start a girl group, but that's a little,
Much. That's a little much.
Yeah. So I settled on Judy.
Oh.
After a date with Judy. Mm-hmm. She's very pretty. Got a little cellulite on her toes, but by the time she's 20, they'll be doing simple nips and toe tags at Elizabeth Arden's.
And are you happy?
I've never been I don't know what you call a happy girl. I'm just too prissy. I'm too caustic.
But now, right now, are you happy?
Well, I have a daughter, and I've never been particularly maternal. I'm not real practiced at sharing, but Scoop, there is a chance, there's just a million notion that Pierre Rosenbaum and Judy Holland will meet on a plane over Chicago. And Pierre will tell her that his father named him for a Canadian prime minister, and she'll say that she was almost named for someone who sang My Boyfriend's Back. And he'll never tell her that it's either or, baby, and she'll never think that she's worthless unless he lets her have it all. And maybe, just maybe, things will be a little better. Yes, that does make me happy.
So I was right all along. You were a true believer.
I don't see how it could be any other way.
No regrets.
Just two.
Me?
No. Hello, New York, and I never torched lingerie.
Gee, oh, The Wicked Cooks.
What? Who?
The Wicked Cooks. It's a Gunter Grass novel. Pierre's music teacher adapted it for the 4th grade play at Ethical Culture.
God, why don't they do The Music Man or Johnny Appleseed?
Oh, please. This is for Judy. It's a silver spoon. My secretary picked it out. You can't go wrong.
Hey, Scoop, I think you did the right thing.
Buying the spoon or selling the magazine?
Both. Don't you want to take a peek at Judy? Stay just a sec. I want her to understand men, and you're a classic.
I'm sort of dating an actress who says I'm withholding. You think I'm withholding?
Well, let's just say I don't know who you're saving it for. Judy Holland. This is Scoop Rosenbaum.
Hey, Judy.
Hi, Scoop.
How you doing? They all look like Winston Churchill. A+ intelligence, B- vocabulary.
Oh, come on. Be generous. A+ vocabulary.
Fuck, The Wicked Cooks.
Judy, for future reference, Uncle Scoop hates foul language. Bye, Scoop. Thanks for coming to see us.
Hey, if I do something crazy, like announce I'm running for Congress next week, will you and Peter be there? Gay men and single mothers for Rosenbaum. Grassroots movements. A man for all genders.
So that's why you sold your magazine.
all people deserve to fulfill their potential, Judy. That's what your mother told me in 1968 on that first snowy night in Manchester, New Hampshire. America needs heroes.
Oh, Scoop, you are many things, but I.
What do you think, Judy? A mother for the 90s and a hero for the 90s. Bye, Idla.
The editor went to Columbia.
I knew that.
Oh. A heroine for the 21st. Darling, you send me. You send me. Honest you do, honest you do, honest you do.